Hey, are you tired of manually checking website for new information? Today in this video I will show you how to build a fully automated cloud pipeline that scraps dynamic website for you every day. So let's start.
So here's the architecture diagram of our project. So we can see our project is divided into three main parts: daily execution workflow, update workflow, CI/CD, and viewer workflow. So in daily execution workflow, there's a Azure Automation. To this Azure Automation, our virtual machine is scheduled to run at 12:55 a.m. So this time can be scheduled according to our need. I have set it at 12:55 a.m. And when this virtual machine starts, there's a cron job which runs on the virtual machine at 1 a.m. and this cron job first pull the latest image from our Azure container registry and run that image, and when that image run to then through that container a Python code will execute which will scrap the website for us and save that scrapped article on the Azure Blob Storage. And after saving this article on the Azure Blob Storage, in the Python code there's a function which will send the deallocate command to our Azure virtual machine to shut down itself. So it will save the cost for us. So because we have scheduled our virtual machine to run only for the time when we scrap the articles from the website and save it to the Azure Blob Storage. So definitely it will save cost for us to run that Azure virtual machine. Now this is update workflow CI/CD. So whenever we push any code to the GitHub repository, it trigger a process in the GitHub action, and when this process run in the GitHub action, so it will build a Docker image from the updated code from the GitHub and save that updated build image on the Azure container registry. And when any user can see that website which is hosted on the Azure App Services, which will show all the scrapped articles, and these scrapped articles will be fetched from the Azure Blob Storage, and it will shown on the website for each day. So in this way user can see the articles for every day for yesterday, or means all the dates for that this process has run to scrap the article from the image. So it will really save our efforts, so we don't require or to wait every day that website will show that article for us. We can automate this process so that we have to only go that website and show and can see that required article. Okay, so for that we have to set up some resources on the Azure. So first we will create a resource group. Resource group is will work like as a project folder for us, and inside the resource group there will be some resources. Okay, I have written, yes. So first we will create the resource group, and inside that resource group we can create the Azure storage account, and in that storage account we will create the blob container. So blob container is to store our scrapped article, and the Azure container registry where our image will be stored, and virtual machine on which the Docker will run, and app service. So app service which will host our Flask web application, and automation account. So we have used automation account to start the Azure virtual machine on a specific time. Okay, so I think we can easily create it. We have to go just there, and we can write like resource group, or we can create the required resource group from there by selecting the subscription and name and region, and then review and create. You can set all other options as default, and as I have already created, I will show you. This is a resource group. So inside the resource group, I have already created a storage account, container registry, virtual machine, but and automation account, app service, but you can easily create it. It is very easy. You can go on that plus create button, and you have to write the resource name like storage account. And you can create the storage account simply from there by selecting some options. So in this way you can create all these resources, so it's very easy. So mainly note that we have to create the Azure storage account. In that Azure storage account we have to create the blob container, because we have to simply save the scrapped HTML article, and Azure container registry to store our image virtual machine. We will okay, I will show you while creating the virtual machine. Okay, while creating the virtual machine you can select, make it default. You can select the images Ubuntu, and authentication type will be SSH. You can use this username Azure user, generate a new pair, and when you hit the review and create and finally create, then there will be an option to download the generate key pair. It's like the password to access the or connect with your virtual machine. So save that PEM file, and it will be helpful when we connect to the virtual machine. Okay, so all these resources will be created by yourself. And okay, inside the app service, okay, I already created it. Okay, inside the app service, make sure to define an environment variable. You have to make this environment variable Azure connection string. So you will save this name and value pair. This is Azure connection string. So in GitHub there we have set up two workflow action. So actually when our GitHub will connect to this Azure to deploy the Flask web application on this app services. So for the login purpose we need this key pair value. So that's why we have saved this. Okay, so Azure connection string. So from where we can get this, I will show you. You have to go the storage account. In a storage account, under security plus networking and access key, so there is a connection string. So this connection string will be used by you to make a connection of GitHub to this Azure app service. So it will be used in other place also. I will show you. Okay, so I will guide you. Okay, first I will show the code to scrap that website and to store to the Azure Blob Storage. So I will show you the website which I am going to be scrapped. So this is the website idea of the day. If I want to see the next idea, so it will show me 8 hours 41 minutes 6 seconds to left, because it shows one article per day. So that's why I have built this project, so that it will automatically scrap everyday article and show on my own live website. Okay, because I have to wait and then on that day I will again go to this and to check, and if maybe it's possible like I miss to see that article on that day, so this project will work me because it will store every day's article and save on my own website. Okay, so I will show you the code. So make a folder like Azure Idea Archive on your local. For now, ignore this .github folder as I have already made this project and uploaded this to the GitHub, so that's why it's showing. Mainly make the two folders, Scrapper and Viewer app. So in the Scrapper app, so this is our Python code. So I have imported some library like OS to interact with the operating system, subprocess to run the command line program, state time, Azure Blob Storage, identity management, compute. So import these some libraries, and this is Azure connection string, Azure container name. So this is container name articles. So this is my blob container. First I have created the storage account. Inside the storage account I have created this blob container, and this is the main folder where my scrapped article will be stored. So this name is the articles, so that's why I have used this article, and this is the URL to scrap, and this is Azure connection string. So I have saved it in a secret file. I will show you. Okay, so this is the shutdown self function. So basically this function work is to send the deallocate command to the virtual machine so that it will be shut down by itself. Okay, so subscription ID, resource group and VM name, all it will be get through this environment variable. And if not all, if so this is only a check, if not present, then shutdown environment variables not set, cannot shut down. It's like to save this from crash. Okay, so this is credential, manage identity credential object. This is a compute client, and this finally it is sending the deallocate command using the resource group and the virtual machine name. Okay, so this is the scrap and upload function. Basically it will scrap our required website and upload that article to the Azure Blob Storage. As it is a dynamic website, the content load dynamically, so the simple HTTP request would not work. So I have used the single file tool to scrap this dynamic website. Okay, so this is a local file name and the today's string, and this is a sub process is to run the command to find the location of the Chrome browser executable in our Docker image. So this is like the directory will be start with this, and the path, the end of the path will be like this. Type is file, not directory, and to capture all the text, and it should be the human readable, that's why it's a text equal to true. Check true, it will scrap all. And this finally this chromium path will store a clean path after using this strip and split to remove the extra space and to split into in separate line. And by using this first index we will finally store a clean exact path in this chromium path variable. Okay, otherwise it will show could not find chromium executable because we have wrapped this code in the try except code. Okay, so command finally it will use our this chromium path. So basically this above one is to just find the exact location of the browser, and that will be executable in the Docker image. And finally we will use this chromium path and the URL to scrap and local file name with the single file tool. So basically this is like the Linux command, so it will finally scrap our website. Okay, so subprocess dot run and check true finally to this subprocess which will execute this command line program and scrap our website for us. Okay, so now in this code we will finally upload that file to the Azure Blob Storage. So first, Blob service client. Okay, we will make a connection with the Azure Blob Storage through this Azure connection string, and through this Blob client, Blob service client, we will upload our connection Azure container name, and blob is a local file name. So basically this two line is for authentication and to just make a connection with the Azure Blob Storage so that we can upload the file. And finally we will upload the file. First we will open as a read mode as data, and will finally upload that file to that article Azure Blob Storage. Okay, and os.path exists, remove local file name, and it's finally like it will remove the temporary HTML file from our virtual machine. So it is for only that, and it is the main, means it is like the main entry point for our this code. It is like the entry point. So this is the main Python code to scrap the article from that website, and to finally store that scrapped article to the Azure Blob Storage. So this code is very simple, and if you find any difficulty, you can simply take the help from the ChatGPT or Gemini, so it will become very easy. So now this is the code of the Docker file. So I have used this Playwright Docker image that will base as a base image, and I have used this Docker file so that our dependency, because I have used the npm single-file Python, so all the dependency on and this tool will be wrapped in one file, so it will be very easy to run this image on any platform. So this is we have set the working directory as app. We have first update and install this library, and through this installed npm, which is in our base image, we have installed a single file CLI, copy all the file to this current directory, and install this requirement.txt. In the requirement.txt, we want this Azure Storage, Blob, Azure Identity, and Azure Management Compute libraries. And finally this is a command. So this command is like we want to run this command by default whenever our image will run into a container. So whenever our image will pull and run, then this command will be run by default. Okay, so now in another folder it is viewer app. So this is app.py. so this is the code of like Flask web application code. So through this code, all the fetched articles will be shown on our website. So basically this code will be deployed on the Azure app service, and this code will fetch all the list of the articles which are stored on our Azure Blob Storage, and it will show on our own live website, which is hosted on the Azure app service. So okay, so we have imported this library, this Azure connection string and container name again, and this is like the index template because we want our scrapped article like this. So okay, style body viewport, and this is % for blob in blobs. So it's like a loop on the list of the articles stored in the Azure Blob Storage, and one by one it will apply this HTML to every article of the list stored in our Azure Blob Storage. And then we have used this Flask web-based decorator and Blob service client and the container client, so to authenticate and to make a login into our Azure container, Azure Blob Storage, and blob list sorted container list dot list blob key lambda. So basically it will fetch all the list of articles and it will sort that list, and then it will deploy that list into our home page of our website. So whenever user click on our website, so this is what he will see. He will see a list of articles fetched from the Azure Blob Storage in a sorted manner. Okay, now this is app.root view string. So this is string file name, it's like a placeholder. It will fetch this file name from the URL, and there's a view articles. So okay, again, and it will download that article from that Azure Blob Storage and will read all and will show as a response. MIME type is a text HTML. It will not show that fetch content only in the simple text, it will show in the HTML. So basically this function is just whenever user click on the okay, so through this code a user will see a list of fetch articles, and also it is creating a link, this code ahref, this blob name. So it is creating a clickable link on every article. So whenever user click on that link, he or she will show this is what is it? This is a content of the fetch article. Okay, so whenever user click on a particular day to see that article, so that article will be directly downloaded from the blob storage and will be displayed to the user. Okay, so this is our final code for our Flask web application, and this is requirement.txt is again the Flask and the Azure storage blob which will be required to install. Okay, so this is our main code which is distributed in two folders, scrapper and the viewer app. The scrapper, it is just to scrap the website and store in the Azure Blob Storage, and there is also a Docker file code to wrap all this into image. And this is a viewer app, this code which is of the Flask web application, which will fetch that list of the articles and show to the user. Whenever user click on that particular article link, it will directly download that article from the Azure Blob Storage and show onto the website. So okay, so this is our final code. So we will upload all this code to our GitHub repository. So after creating all this code and after creating all the required resources, I have upload this code repository, all this onto the GitHub. So yeah, we have created all these resources. Okay, so make sure to provide two roles. Like first role is for the Azure container registry. So when we create the Azure container registry, I will show you. So Azure container registry, so this role is basically for the virtual machine, so that the virtual machine can pull the latest image from the Azure container registry. So for that we will provide the ACCR pull role to the virtual machine. So for that we have to go to the where is our container registry? This. Okay, in this container registry I am showing you how you can provide this role. Go to the IAM and role assignment. As I have already provided, that's why it is showing for me ACR pull. Okay, otherwise you have to go add role assignment, and you can type the ACR pull this, and next, and use manage identity as it is for the application or for the user. We will select the manage identity, and you can select the select member, and I have select the virtual machine, and this is my virtual machine name, so I have select this and select, and then next करके all the required permission which will allow the virtual machine to pull the latest image from the Azure Container Registry. It will be provided to the virtual machine. Okay, in this way you can provide this, and there's one more role which will be provided to the virtual machine. It is the virtual machine contributor, so that all the management tasks can be done easily. Like to I have, like in the Python code you can see that we have used the shutdown function, this shutdown self, to send the shutdown command to deallocate the virtual machine. So for that we have provided the name of this a virtual machine contributor to our virtual machine. Okay, I will show my GitHub repository, so you can push your code to your GitHub into a repository. This is idea of the day. Okay, so then you will be able to see two folders, scrapper and viewer app. Now if we see our architecture diagram, what we have done, we have just push our code to the GitHub only. Okay, and we have created all the required resources on Azure. Now we will set some workflow action in the GitHub. Okay, so first we will go into the settings, and here we will go to the secrets and variable, and here actions. So okay, we will set these some like ACR login user, ACR password, ACR username, and Azure connection string. Okay, so actually we have used this GitHub action for CI/CD. CI/CD is continuous integration and continuous development. Whenever user push any code to the GitHub, so it trigger a process which is a GitHub action, and it will build the latest image and push that image to our Azure Container Registry. So to push the code to the Azure Container Registry, we have to provide some credentials so that it can securely log in into our Azure Container Registry. So for that we have saved some secrets in this setting by going into the settings action, and this is our ACR login server, ACR password, and ACR username. This is ACR, Azure Container Registry. Okay, and how you can find this, I will show you. Okay, you can go to your resource group, idea of the day. Here you will find your Azure Container Registry. In Azure Container Registry you can find under setting access keys. So here you can find your registry name, login server, and username, and there's a password. So you can set this ACR login server, you can just use the login server name, and ACR password, you can use this password, and ACR login server password and username, so you can use this username. You have, as I have already created, it is showing, otherwise you have to go into the action and you have to create this new repository secret, and you have to go and like whatever you want to give the name, you can give like ACR username or ACR password, and then you have to paste the value or the password for same. Okay, And there is another one which is a Azure connection string. So I have already told you how you can find Azure connection string. Go to your Azure storage account. In the storage account you will go to the access key, and this is a connection string for your Azure storage. So this is Azure connection string, and these three secrets will be created automatically when you connect your GitHub to the Azure app service via deployment center. Okay, I will show you. App service. Okay, I have already told you, like in app service we have created an environment variable name Azure connection string, and in deployment slot we have connect this Azure app service deployment center, Azure app service to our GitHub. Okay, so I have provided like this GitHub, organization, repository name, branch, all this information. So whenever we connect and provide this all information to connect Azure to the GitHub, so this Azure app service will automatically create these three secrets into our GitHub secrets. Okay, so it will be automatically created. It is like to securely log in. Okay, now we go to the idea of the day. Now we want to create this GitHub action so that we can make this continuous integration and continuous development pipeline. Okay, so for that you have to go like in actions under your repository name, then new workflow, and in new workflow set up a workflow by yourself, and here you can type the code for that, and here you can give the required name for that. So I will show you the code which I have used in the GitHub workflow. After that these two Git workflow file will be created under this. Okay, so I have used first this GitHub workflow. This is a Docker build push.yml. So you can take the help from of course ChatGPT and from Gemini. So now I think the writing of code is not much big deal, because you can take the help easily. So, and I will also upload all this code. You can see from this my repository. So if we see in the docker build push.yml file, so this is name. We have provided this name to our this workflow, and it will run on push whenever we push any code, and whenever we push any code on our main branch workflow dispatch, because we can run this workflow manually to test. And jobs, these are the all jobs under this job section, and this is a build and push which will run on Ubuntu latest. It is the virtual machine which will run on, and this are the steps like check out the repository, action checkout. So basically it will download all the repo code on our virtual machine. Set up Docker build X. So we have used this Docker build X. You can also use the build X is like the standard version or the more advanced version of the Docker build, so that so that there will be no any mismatch between two type of architectures, like from local to your virtual machine Ubuntu. Okay, so then login to Azure container registry. So it is ACR login user username password, which we have already set under settings in the secrets, and build and push the Docker image. It will finally build, and it will focus on this scrapper folder, because the code to scrap the website, it is under in the scrapper folder, and file is a Docker file, and it have to be made for the Linux AMD 64 architecture, push through, and this is the tag for our Docker image. So basically the work of this Docker build push.yml work action, GitHub action is to download all the latest code from this repo on the virtual machine, build that image, and push that image in the Azure Container Registry. Okay, so it is a continuous integration and continuous development. So whenever then next time our virtual machine will start, so it will push the latest image from our Azure Container Registry. Now this is the another workflow file. This is the main idea article viewer.yml. So build, and this is a name for this workflow file. It will also run on push, Ubuntu latest, and these are the steps. So check out again to download all the repo code and create and start virtual machine. We are creating this and activating this virtual environment and installing all the dependency which are mentioned in the viewer app, and upload artifact. For this we are moving all this code to this artifact folder. Download artifact from build job. We are like to build our app, and then finally we will deploy to the Azure app service using these secrets which are automatically created when we make a connection in the Azure app service to this GitHub, and it will finally deploy this to the Azure web service. And this is our app name, slot name, production. Okay, so basically the work of this GitHub workflow file is to build the Flask web app and deploy it to the Azure app service. Okay, I will show you some command which will be helpful for you. Like I am listed all the resources for that. It will be very helpful for you that you have to create the resource scope, storage account, blob container, all these, and role. Mainly you have to provide 2 roles, as I have already mentioned. ACR pull role to our container registry, and my virtual machine contributor role to our virtual machine. Environment variable Azure connection string in the app service, which we have already set. And command, you can use this command like as this command will not be required like to Docker build, but you can use this command to build the image locally on your own PC to test all this code. So you can use this Docker build, or you can use this Docker build X, which is an advanced version, so that like I have already mentioned to so that there will be no any mismatch between the CPU architecture between your local and your Ubuntu virtual machine. And it is like to sudo apt-get install Azure CLI. So you can use this command to install the Azure CLI on your own laptop, and then you will log in through this AJ login onto your Azure. And this is your idea archive images. This is your container name. And Docker pull this command if you want to pull that image, otherwise it will be not required. If you want to pull, then you can see all the Docker images. You can push using this command. So okay, so this is a command you can use to connect to your virtual machine. So this command you can find on your virtual machine section also. Okay, under this connect you can find this command, SSH command. Using that command you can connect to your virtual machine. Here is a private key file path. So as I have already told you, like when you create the virtual machine, then you will get an option to download your generate key pair file. that will require to connect to your virtual machine. So when you download that file, so here in this placeholder you have to fill by the path of that file name of that file. Okay, then you can use this command to connect to your virtual machine. So you can use this command to connect to your virtual machine. You can just use this command to update all the list of all local software present in the virtual machine, and this to install the Docker onto the virtual machine. It is like to use without using the chmod using this user, and this is like to install all the standard Microsoft using this command. And this is like, okay, so you will create this Azure secrets.env file on your local. In this file you have to provide this Azure connection string equals to whatever your connection string, like yeah, this is this connection string. You will use this connection string here. This is my connection string, Azure connection string equals to this. So basically by this command you are creating this file on your local and saving this Azure connection string, which will be helpful to make a connection with your Azure storage container. Okay, so this is like to provide the read write only by you for that secret file. This is cron tab -e, so it is basically for save this cron job expression. As I have told you that I have scheduled a cron job to run at 1 AM, so we will save this cron job expression under this. So what is the meaning of this cron job? So first, this is basically is to run every day, every month, every day of the week, every day at 1 AM IST. Okay, it is basically by default in the EST. Okay, it will securely log in into your Azure container, and it will then pull the latest image and will run that code. And then these are the environment variable which is using by it, and finally it will store all this into Azure archive images, and it will so in this cron.log basically we can see the log after when this cron job expression run. So we can see after that all the logs of this cron job under this file. So basically this is the whole cron job expression, which will basically first log in and pull the required image from the Azure container registry and run that image and save that it to the run the code inside the scrapper, and through that scrapper code it will save the fetch article onto the Azure storage. Okay, and this is the cat this cron job. So through this command you can see all the logs which will track whether this cron job expression cron job expression run or not. Okay, so this is the whole project which I have built. I have shown you all the resource group, and you have to deploy all your code to this GitHub repository, and these are all the code. And one more I think I have to show you how you can make your virtual machine to run daily at 12 or any time. So you have to go to the automation account. As I have only simply listed that I have used this automation account, so I will show you in the automation account, as I have it is already created. by myself, but you can create another one, है ना. It is very simple. And under this you have to go to the workflows, sorry, runbooks. In the runbooks you can create your own runbook, create a runbook. ठीक है, runbook type. Okay, I'm not getting that option. Okay, runbook. Okay, don't go directly to the creator runbook. Use the browse gallery. So there are automatically create some for you. Like we want to start our Azure, so we can use this. Okay, we can use this one. Okay, select. You can give any name to your runbook. ठीक है, like to run VM. Okay, import. And then publish. And after publish you can link to schedule. Now you have to schedule it. Like I have already created some schedule like start VM daily or stop VM DL, but you can create it on, as I have already created, it is showing, that's why. Like you can give like start at whatever time you want, like start at 1 AM or whatever. And I want to make it start like from 7, or I want it to like at 1 AM. Time zone I want Indian IST. And I want it to recur every day. Okay, so create. In this way I have created the another one which you have seen, and this is the one which we have created start at 1 AM. So so we are setting our workflow or this runbook to schedule the virtual machine to start at a particular time. So we have used the schedule. Now we can set this parameter and run setting. So we can paste our resource group name, virtual machine name and subscription, and then we can press the OK. And I think you can easily find your resource group name, virtual name and your subscription, and then you will hit the OK button. Then this runbook will be all set up to start your virtual machine to run at 1 AM. Okay, and using this command you can schedule it to run your cron job expression to start your scrapping and storing that article onto your Azure Blob Storage. So this is the whole project which I have shown you. There is Azure Automation to start the virtual machine, cron job expression, run the container by pulling the latest image from Azure Container Registry and store it to the Azure storage, the latest article, and then send to the deallocate command to the Azure Blob, Azure virtual machine. And there is a GitHub update workflow, that is a continuous integration, continuous deployment, and here is a viewer workflow. So this is all the project code. Now I will show you a demo ki how it is working finally. Okay, so now I will show you a demo ki whenever you push any code from local to the GitHub, so how this trigger a process and GitHub action workflow will run to build your Docker image and save into the Azure Container Registry. Go your VS Code, type git add dot and okay, Okay, now if we go to the repo and in action, then we can see these are currently running. Okay, so these both workflow are currently running, in which one is building means download all the latest repo code on the virtual machine and build the image, and it will store that latest image into the Azure container registry, and other will build the Flask web application and deploy to the Azure web service. So it is currently in running state. Okay, in the meantime we can go to the Azure container registry. So as we can see, in for the latest 1 hour it is showing successful push count. Okay, so when we go to the Azure container registry and then we go to the repository, then there's a daily scrapper image. If we click on that, then we can see the latest time updated. So means our GitHub action workflow successfully executed and build a latest image and push to the this our Azure container registry. Yeah, all both this finished. Now I will show this part कि how we will set this cron job expression. I will show a small demo for that. Okay, to connect to the virtual machine, first we should make sure that our virtual machine should be in the started state. So now I am starting it. Yes, it is started. Okay, now we'll go to the other window. Why it is showing me like that? Okay, connected. Okay, to set the cron job expression, cron tab -a. Okay, so it is scheduled to run like 1 a.m. and it is by default scheduled in UTC. Now I want to run at like it is now 3:06 a.m. but now I want to schedule it like 3:15 a.m. So as the Indian time is 5 hours 30 minutes ahead of the UTC, so it should be like so I will change this. (45:21). Okay, save y. Okay, so now I have updated my cron job expression to run this at 3:15 a.m. in IST. Okay, so now we have some minutes for the minutes remaining for the 3:15 a.m. Okay, so in the meantime we can do one more thing. As virtual machine is currently in running state, but if I want to test the Azure Automation workflow that is scheduled to run the virtual machine at a particular time, so I can change that one also. Okay, leave it for now because it is only 5 minutes left. I will show you later. For now I am starting my virtual machine. Yeah, it is already in start state. Okay, so for now so let me check what is the article for. Now it is communication based article and our storage account, blob containers, articles. Okay, so for now it is only for 1st and 2nd September as I have already run for that date. Now I will check whether it will create for the today's date article. So it is only like 3:12 a.m. some few minutes left for 3:15. So we will check whether that cron expression will run, and pull the latest image from the Azure container registry, and then when that image run into a container, then a Python code will run which will extract the articles, scrap the article from the website and save it to this Azure Blob Storage. Okay, and the same will be also appear to our app service. Okay, let me open this one also. And also it will send a deallocate command to stop this virtual machine. As we can see, it is currently in running state. Okay, but after the scrapping and the storing into the Azure Blob Storage, this virtual machine should be in stop state. So we can see the latest article fetch is visible on our Azure Blob Storage. As previously we can see there were only 1st and 2nd September article, but now there is for 6th one also. For 7th one, as it is not loaded into the original website. Okay, now if I see on this, if I refresh this, it must be visible to us. Yes. Okay, if I click on this, okay, so this article is visible to us, which we can see on this original website. Okay, Yahoo, it's work. Okay, and now we will check the virtual machine whether it is present in starting state or stop state. Yay, it is in stop state now. So the cron job expression has worked perfectly. It just pull the latest image from Azure Container Registry and scrap the latest article from the website, put it to the Azure Blob Storage, and also it is visible to our Azure app service, and also send a deallocate command to stop the virtual machine. So it also save cost for us. So in this way we can easily scrap article for every day. So, and we can schedule our cron job expression for same. And also we can as we have sent this deallocation command to shut down the virtual machine, we can set the Azure Automation to automatically start the virtual machine before some 5 or 10 minutes before the scheduled cron job. Okay, so that run book which we have created earlier, I will show you in Azure Automation account to run VM, as this is created by ourselves earlier. So we will use this and link to a schedule. So I will select this F at 3:40 AM now. So this one, start VM 3:40 AM. Okay, I will ID of the resource group and virtual machine, this one, and the subscription is this. Okay. Okay, now we will see whether our virtual machine will be started automatically or not at 3:40 AM, as I have rescheduled at 3:40 AM. Two minutes left, let's see. I'm just verifying whether it is showing. Start 3:40, okay, I will again select them to avoid any error. Okay, let's see our virtual machine will start automatically or not. As I have scheduled it to run at 3:40 a.m. It is now 3:39. Okay, as it is 3:41, if I refresh, okay, so it is in running state. Okay, so yes, so we have set the cron job expression that how it pull the latest image and scrap the latest article from the website and save it to the job blob storage. And also we have seen the demo for that, the Azure Automation, how it is scheduled to run to start the virtual machine at a particular time. And whenever we push any code to the GitHub repository, how it trigger a process in the GitHub action, and that process will build a Docker image and store it into the Azure container registry. And any user through its own web browser can see the Flask web based application hosted on the Azure app service, which will fetch the articles, news articles from the Azure storage, whether it is news or anything. It will fetch the latest article or a list of articles from this Azure storage and display on your own live website. So this is how a complete project work. So there's Azure Automation, which start the virtual machine, then a cron job expression to pull the latest image and run the Python code to scrap the website and store into the job blob storage. And there's an update workflow. We have seen how this continuous integration and continuous development pipeline works. So whenever we push any commit to the GitHub repository from the local, then it triggers a process in the GitHub action, which that process build a Docker image and store to the Azure container registry. And also any user can see the list of scrapped articles from the on its own websites hosted on the Azure app service. So this is the whole project which is working like that. I hope you like this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.